Welcome to Mild Moodcast, a podcast meant to explore mental health through the lens of another human hanging on by a thread. I'm Bianca, a registered mental health counselor intern, soon to be LMHC, here to chat about the topics we don't get enough of. So grab your headphones and let's dive into the crazy world of mental health. It's going to be a wild ride. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mild Moodcast. Happy Sunday, or whatever day it is that you're listening to this. I'm super excited for you to be here. I have like 1,000,001 songs stuck in my head right now. From freaking Sunflower to She Wolf by Shakira. I don't even know why that one jumped into my head, but I'm a little all over the place right now. As you've already seen, today's episode is called The Wholeness Myth. You don't have to be fixed to be loved. And it's really funny because being how random I am sometimes, ADHD, it's lots of fun. There are not dull moments, and sometimes people even feel like they have to fix that. So if you've ever felt like you had to fix something, this one's going to be for you. So I'm going to jump into my disclaimer, then we'll get right into the episode. As always, while my podcast is meant to spark reflection and curiosity, it is not a replacement for therapy. If you're navigating heavy emotions or challenges, please reach out to a professional. Therapy is a safe space to process and grow. There's a myth that floats around in self-help culture like glitter in the air. Shiny, captivating, and easy to get stuck to you. It's this idea that you need to be whole, healed, financially stable, emotionally regulated, mentally strong, trauma-free, and spiritually aligned before you can find love. Before you're even worthy of being loved. And listen, I bought into that myth for a long time. But what I've realized, what I've lived, is that love isn't reserved for the finished version of you. It's not this prize at the end of your healing. It's something you're allowed to receive while you're still becoming. Let's pause there. I want this to land. You are not behind. You're not broken. You don't have to arrive somewhere to be lovable. So today I want to talk about it. Not just debunk the myth, but really sit with why so many of us believe it, and how we can start to soften those beliefs when they creep in. Because let's be real, they do. Where did this idea even come from? If I had to guess, I think it started out with good intentions. We wanted people to love themselves, to not settle for breadcrumbs, to take time alone and get clear on who they are. But somehow, it became this harsh inner rule. If I'm still healing, no one should have to love me. If I'm anxious, messy, financially unstable, or not in my glow-up era, I should stay out of the dating pool entirely. And I hate to break it to you. I don't hate to be the one to break it to you, but I hate to break it to you. That's not healing. That's shame. That's fear. That is perfectionism in a new outfit. We get fed this unspoken checklist. Be financially stable. Have your own place. Be emotionally mature. Be confident, but not intimidating. Be healed, but not hard to understand. Be low maintenance, but deeply interesting. And if you don't check every box, what then? Are you unworthy? Or have we just been given a measuring stick that was never made with our humanity in mind? I want you to pause with me for a moment and ask yourself this. And this is actually a journal prompt. I have a few of them that are going to be throughout this today. So journal prompt number 1, or say out loud to yourself number 1, think it, doesn't matter. What if I told myself I need to fix before I'm allowed to be loved? Taking it a step further, where did that belief come from? And who would I be if I didn't carry it anymore? Sit with that for a second. If you gotta pause this, you wanna write it down, you wanna think about it, that's fine. But really and truly give it attention. You know, you don't need a perfect credit score to be held at night. You don't need to be at your goal weight or have your 5-year plan fully outlined. You don't need to hide your fear or make yourself smaller so you're easier to choose. And you definitely don't need to own property, wear matching socks every day, or post a picture-perfect life to be seen, held, and loved well. You know, let's talk about the financial side of this, because I know how real that can feel. That pressure to have your money right before you even think about dating or being in a relationship. Maybe you're in debt. Maybe you're building something that hasn't blossomed yet. Maybe you're just surviving right now. But here's the thing. Money is real, but love isn't a transaction. You're not a paycheck. You're not a project. You're a person. And people deserve love. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have the idea that you want to have some money to be able to go out on dates, to be able to go do things. But there are still ways around feeling like you need to have it all. You don't have to have it all. Shit, I don't. I don't have everything figured out. I'm still working on really how to understand money. I think a lot of people don't know that about me. They see me, they see the things that I have, they see the things that I get, and they're like, oh yeah, she's good. The lies, the slander. She's trying to figure it out. She's never been good with money. She's trying. She's doing better than she has before. So, like, I don't say these things from I'm gonna come up with this topic and talk about it. No, like, I'm in the trenches too, you guys. And that's okay. We still deserve love, even if we don't know everything about money. You know, I think I've said before on this, and I've said before in a lot of different spaces, that people can have all the money in the world, but if they don't have financial literacy, they have nothing. I'm still learning financial literacy. I could easily be one of those people to squander an opportunity, and I don't want to be, and I don't want to sit in that same mindset. And so when we sit in the mindset of like, I'm not allowed to have, that doesn't just affect relationships, it also affects our finances. It affects the idea that we can't because we've messed it up before. I want you to keep that in mind. Our mindset matters. You know, real love, it doesn't look at your financial status and say, come back when you're ready. Real love asks, how can we make life feel safe together? Journal prompt number 2. What does being ready for love mean to me? And who taught me that definition? Does it include unrealistic standards that don't reflect the reality of being human? Here's the part I want to hold gently. The shame that says, who would want me like this? I don't even like myself some days. Why would someone stay? If you've ever whispered those thoughts in the quiet of your mind, you're not alone. But I want you to remember this. You don't need to be fearless to be loved. You don't need to be certain to be chosen. You don't need to be unbreakable to be held. Let that settle into your nervous system. You are not required to be perfect in order to be worth loving. Number 3, what parts of myself have I tried to hide or fix in order to be more lovable? And I know that there are some of you out there that had to hide, that had to fix, that had to change in order to be received, that had to make yourselves quieter, smaller, dim your light, because the people around you just didn't understand. And it felt like nobody ever would. And that's a huge part of why it can feel so difficult to live authentically. And you might see other people do it and you might wonder how. And the truth is, you can too. So ask yourself, how can I offer those parts some softness instead? The things that I wanted to hide, the things that I wanted to fix, how can I offer them some softness? And here's the other side of it. When we actually are in relationships, it's not like the shame just disappears. If anything, it gets triggered. Why? Because love is a mirror. And when someone gets close, they reflect all the things we've been afraid to face in ourselves. That's not a bad thing. That's how healing happens in connection. And yeah, it can feel intense, but it's also beautiful. Being in love while still healing means you have someone to walk with through your becoming. It means someone sees the mess and doesn't flinch. It means you're not doing this alone anymore. It isn't about finding a partner that makes you whole. No, it's about knowing that you are whole and being able to share that wholeness with another person. I think there's something sacred about doing that. And let's slow it down even further, because I want to speak to the version of you that's still scared, still hiding, still telling yourself, I'm too much. I have too much baggage. I'm not enough. You don't have to exile the parts of you that are still learning. You don't have to become a light version of yourself to be loved. You don't have to carry it all alone anymore. Fourth journal prompt or thought for the day. If someone offered me unconditional love today, what part of me would try to reject it? And why? What would it take to let that love in, even just a little? I feel it's so weird. I almost feel like all of that might be sitting in your chest right now as you're listening to this, and I feel like it would be a good moment to do a quick grounding practice, if that makes you comfortable. Something short, not as long as the last one, and it's, mid-episode, but maybe your nervous system is screaming. Maybe you wanted to pause this and stop listening. Maybe you see a lot of yourself in this episode, and that's okay. I want you to do me a favor, if you can. And if not, you can fast forward through this part, that's fine. But if you want to, place your hand on your heart. And I want you to know I'm doing it with you. Take a deep breath. And say, even when I'm struggling, I'm still lovable. Say it again if you need to. Even when I'm struggling, I'm still lovable. And let me just say, I am tired of love being treated like a job interview. Like you need a resume and 3 references and proof that you've done enough therapy. Like you have to qualify for love. You don't need a trauma report and an inner child healed to 97% before someone can choose you. You just need to be willing to be honest, willing to grow, willing to show up as your full self and say, I may be a work in progress, but I still deserve tenderness. Journal prompt number 5. What would it look like for me to believe I am enough, even before I'm finished healing? What would change in the way I show up in love? So here's what I'll leave you with. Love doesn't require you to be fixed. It requires you to be real, to be open, to let someone sit with you in the room of your becoming. Even when it's cluttered, even when there are boxes everywhere, even when you don't have all the answers. This episode is for the version of you still figuring it out, still learning to trust, still whispering, maybe I'm not ready. You are. And even if you're not, you're still worthy. Let that be your reminder today. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you feel encouraged to truly lean into who you are, who you're meant to be, and know that you are loved, that it is your birthright, and you don't have to be perfect. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Mild Moodcast. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. If you have any burning questions or topics you'd like me to cover, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on YouTube at Mild Moodcast and Instagram at Mild Mood Therapy. Let's keep the conversation going and continue to explore the wonderful world of mental health together. Until next time, stay curious and keep smiling.